There. Hello and welcome to Wandering Monster, America's test table, where we do not play test games, we stress test them. Thank you again, Charles, for that tagline. I love it.
You're welcome.
What do we mean when we say we stress test games? Well, what we mean is we dig into games and we play them hopefully as intended, but like to a kind of a gonzo level so that we can find where pain points might be for players or GMs, what can be tweaked for games that are still in development. Pain points for our GM is specifically the three of us.
I thought you said when you say stress test, you're talking about me. Like last week where I'm going to study all the rules in this book except for mounted combat because what are the odds my players are going to fight someone on a horse?
Yeah, well, I do. I have a camera in Ian's home, and as soon as he's like, I probably don't need to read up on mounted combat, I was like, that's me, baby.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on ZineQuest, which is kind of big news in the RPG community. This year, it's in August. Next year, it will be back in February, which gives all of us creators, Ian and I are both working on multiple projects right now for it. Is kind of giving us coronaries because we need to get this one done and then be prepped to go again in February. All that said, when we're working on game design, there are, I want to say, three big tenets. The first is give players meaningful choices. If with meaningful choices you have fun, you get to feel like you have actual impact on the game you're playing, which is incredibly important. The second is ease of entry, and that can be mechanically, story. The denser it is, the more you're asking for players to do, and the less likely they'll actually get into having fun. Third, balance. And that's where playtesting really comes in. Although it does come in on ease of entry as well. For instance, I released a game called Numinous Brutality, where if I had had a couple more sessions of playtesting, we would have realized I didn't have initiative baked into the game.
It's in beta. It's in beta.
It's a beta. It's alpha. What's the other insult that people throw at people, Charles? It's beta and
it's like Daikatana?
Cuck?
No, yeah, it's the version of Numinous Brutality that's out right now is the cuck version.
Right.
Because when you read it, you get to watch me fucking with other games.
Soon we'll have it in Soy Boy though, so don't worry.
I think there's another Greek letter that I could have used, but
Gamma. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of them.
I'm a Zeta male. I'm a Betamax? Ooh, I like that. I'm Betamax. All this to say, what we're doing tonight is a little outside of our normalcy. Because what we are going to be stress testing is something that Ian has worked on as a writer and editor. Meaning that the three of us are going to tear apart his beloved child, eat its intestines, and then make love to each other on top of its corpse.
I mean, I'm prepared to weep. I got a box of tissues.
I did not know that was what that tissue box was for. I thought you were okay. So yeah, that's
a lot of socks.
Look, I could sit here and talk about making love on top of corpses all day, or we could get into it.
I don't know about that segue. How that segue really works there.
Yeah, it's good.
What are we getting into exactly?
Yes, you'll find out. But yeah, let's to get into it.
All right. So, what we are going to be live playing tonight is Trapped Within, which is from the mind of Philip Jensen, this is his first module that he is releasing, and he's done a bang-up job on that. It's going to be about a 40-plus page on the hefty side of the zine family supplement of both a Gonzo dungeon crawl that could also be modular, so you could do as a one-shot where you can do procedural generated prison play, or a full campaign that links to campaign lore. So it links to the world lore itself and explores some of the lesser explored areas within the Morkborg canon. So a lot of really neat things about this. So it's been a great project to be involved with the ground up. And as of this, actually late last night, blew through the whole first wave of stretch goals. So now there's a new wave of stretch goals. So great time to get in on it if you want to help see things like get the hardback copy or the printed copy in foil for a nice little extra bling and some other stuff.
That's awesome.
There's even a stretch goal level where there will be an extra solo play. So if you like playing the original Morkborg Dark Forts, well, you can play a solo version of the dungeon crawl by yourself when you don't have friends to play with. So a lot of fantastic good stuff.
You guys have me figured out because, you say foiled edition, and I'm just a sucker for that. Like, I throw my money at it immediately. Like, I love foil covers.
Yeah. I will say that I used to get really excited whenever I saw solo play options on a game, especially a board game, role-playing game. But my wife teased me mercilessly. She downloaded a playlist of sad violin music. The name of the playlist was Sad Violin Music for Loneliness. And so whenever she would see me setting up a board game that was like a solo, I was going, I'm going to check out this board game. She'd just put that on and just like... So, me too. I like foil covers too, actually.
That's brilliant.
I love solo RPGs. It's just, I'm so darn busy these days. I don't get a chance to play them. So,
yeah, you definitely don't get a chance to play a game every week.
That's great. This is the best time of my life.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the real reason we're doing this. It's only the way the
Ian can play
play with any regularity.
Ian can pretend
by
he has
the way,
friends.
just like tell Des that with all respect, I'm going to steal that sad violin trick because
tell her that she's a genius and you love her. Will do.
That means we also have to stream. We'll have to play one of those songs when a character dies. We'll have to have the most melodramatic like violin.
Love it. In memoriam. Yeah.
I wish I had it ready, but there's a picture of a tardigrade playing a violin, and it's my favorite picture ever right now.
That's great.
It will outlast us all. So with that, why don't we introduce our colorful cast of characters for the evening?
Let's do. And as always, I will go first. Tonight, I will be playing, sorry, I had to find the guy's name again, Berkari, the esoteric hermit. I was just a regular dude. I was wandering through the Sarkash, which is frankly never a good idea. And I glimpsed something in a dim glen. And since then, I'd lived in a cave as a hermit, making jewelry out of people's teeth, dead people's teeth, usually dead people's teeth. Sometimes my teeth, depending on how much, calcium I was getting or whatever. Anywho, then they thought I was an evil wizard. I mean, I guess dwelling in a cave and collecting teeth, I can understand. But now I'm locked up underground.
Mr. Patchkey, you want to?
Sure, yeah, your mouth open. I thought you were going to go. My bad.
No, I was just gas. I'm just a mouth breather. That's all.
Yeah, I am Greg. I was Miller, and my mill was taken from me. And now I am in dungeon with nothing but clothes on my back. I from working mill, have big muscles. I am very strong and powerful guy.
Oh, I like the fact that your presence is at 0, not -2. A fun fact, Greg here is the one character who actually doesn't have a class. I rolled a pre-gen that was classless, pure to the book.
You did that specifically because you had forgotten about the 46 roll and wanted to try it out, right?
Well, it was just, yeah, I'm going to see how that'd work. I forgot that you could have so many more hit points as a non-class. It's D8 plus toughness.
Damn.
All of my toughness.
I am Cinder the Charred. Cinder is a burned man. kind of like Burning Man. You know what? Cinder looks a lot like
Hellraiser.
Bolvar from World of Warcraft after he is consumed by Dragonfire. Really kind of looks like he's a lava elemental that's cooled on the surface, boiling magma kind of cracking out from underneath. He did a bad thing. He is Baby. Baby did a bad thing. He was burned at the stake, but it didn't quite take. And since they couldn't figure out how to kill him, they have thrown him in the dungeon. And if you don't mind me just kind of jumping right in, Ian.
I was going to set the stage, if I may, provide some backstory for our list. All right, go ahead. Question mark.
Hey, you. You're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into that Imperial ambush. Same as us. And
you
that thief
horse
over
thief. I was wondering where you're going with that. So, the lore behind the adventure is looking at King Fathmu the Ninth, which is the despotic king of Sleesvig. And in his descent into madness, he begins having these delusions of persecution, of grandeur, and of all these hallucinations that he's having. So in this fit of madness, he builds an underground prison where he throws anyone in there that he deems to be a threat against his regency, or as a person that's mocking him, or an evil sorcerer. Any reason why. So people are constantly disappearing and ending up in his secret dungeon. And so it is this colorful cast here who have wronged him in some apparent slight. Just the fact that Grieg had a mill that Fathmu wanted for eminent domain in the dungeon. You have a horribly scarred person, maybe a case of mistaken identity, being burned at the stake. Horrible monster.
It was not mistaken identity. I did it.
I'm curious to know exactly what you did, but it sounds like maybe you deserved it this time. A lonely man collecting teeth. That's enough reason to be thrown in the dungeon. So, through various channels and through various horrible acts, you have been accosted, beaten, and thrown in this underground prison that is perpetually warped by the madness that warps King Fathmu the Ninth. So, you, wherever you were in your life before the prison, you were knocked unconscious and dragged in here. So you begin to awaken in this jail. In fact, you awaken to a warm rain splattering against your face as your eyes struggle to focus. It's oppressively dark wherever it is that you're here. The only sources of light seem to come from the guard's head, which is just piercingly bright, and from beyond your cage, your cell walls, there's some type of red glow emanating from the floor. The guard briefly shakes himself, ending the foul-smelling shower, and you find yourself in a cell with a poster on the wall, 3 beds, 1 for each of you, rusty iron bars, and nothing but darkness. After bathing you, the guard turns around and walks out of sight down a corridor. It seems as if his head is almost like a giant lantern, and he is eventually swallowed by the darkness of the tunnel ahead of him. It's quiet, almost too quiet where you are. Dark, just barely illuminated by the brooding red light coming from a hole in the floor of this space. You see that you're in a square chamber. Looks like 3 cells on one side, presumably 3 cells on your side, and if you look around the corner, 3 cells, and a north wall ends in a tunnel that extends into darkness.
Okay, quick question.
Fire.
Does the guard's urine smell flammable?
No, it kind of smells a little bit like asparagus and something slightly fishy.
I am genuinely sorry I asked.
I am genuinely sorry that you're covered in urine right now. But here we are.
Did we
I
put
had
the
a nickel
poster
for
up?
every time I've heard that.
What about the poster?
Did we
Yeah,
put that up? Was that already here? Is there a secret tunnel, Shawshank Redemption style, behind it?
Are you
/
going
inspect
to
poster.
Yeah.
Are you going to inspect the poster?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the poster on it, it says Fathom's Redemption, and it has propaganda on it about how merciful King Fathom is with his justice, and that his taxes are fair and are used for the prosperity of the kingdom. And you feel a little bit of a draft coming from behind the poster. But as before you pull it back from the wall, as you are stirring in here, you hear a feeble voice from the cell to your south calling out to you. Finally awake, are we? My name is Anuk Schlegger. I think if we work together, I think
I've been
we can
waiting.
escape this place.
I've been waiting for this moment in this podcast for years. I have dark vision.
That's the moment of all the years. All the years I haven't seen or even known the podcast. You've been waiting for using the infravision.
Anytime anyone goes anywhere dark, every elf and dwarf player immediately shouts, "I have dark vision," and it's finally John's time.
Then shout it and explain why you have this power.
I don't have eyes. I have burning coals.
Oh, that
eyes.
would help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they like shed light. Yeah.
I don't know. Look, you asked me. I answered because of magic. My answer for the way my daughter asked me, "Why is the sky blue?" I said, "Because of magic."
Wavelengths of light entering the atmosphere. But the class that John is playing is actually being stress tested tonight. Is one of the classes that comes in the book, which is playing a person who is severely charred, either being a surviving cultist of a fire demon to someone that's had a terrible industrial accident, or in his case, being burnt at the stake. So yes, you do have smoldering coals for eyes, and as you pan around the room, you see more intensely what that red glow is coming from the center of the floor. It looks like there is a hole cut out in the center of this prison floor here that goes to a floor below. And you can see that there is a source of heat below, and you can actually see it radiating outward.
Is this the platform prison? Because I am not down to be in the platform.
You're going to have to maybe find your way out to look down that hole. And while this figure is speaking, are you going to be looking at them with your cold eyes?
I want to see who's there. I want to see what's up.
So you see this person that's still mid-sentence, that as you're looking at him, is a very frail, emaciated old man who looks like has been here for maybe even more years than you've been alive. His skin seems to be moving as he's talking. Maybe he's covered in bugs. He's definitely covered in bugs. Maggots. It's kind of hard to tell in this gloomy light, even with your coal eyes. But you're pretty sure that he's covered either giant lice or some type of maggots. So
I don't have lips, but they would curl in disgust if I did.
You crack and bleed. You need to moisturize. If we work together, I think we can escape this place. I know a thing or two that might help us.
You went kind of Dracula there at the end. I liked it.
I'm terrible with any accents. I will shift into any type of inflection.
That's why I don't do voices on this.
I think every character should be a Dracula now.
There we go. I will definitely do a stereotypical. So you see that he is just a very frail old man, but looks at you very steely with his old wizened eyes.
And he's the source of the heat from down there?
Nope, he is in the cell next to you. So you've got a...
Oh, gotcha.
Right, so there's some type of space below from where you are, maybe a lower level, like how Cinder's suggesting, or there's maybe a fire to heat this place. It's kind of hard to tell. So you have the old man that you can speak with, and you also have this poster, and from behind which there's a little bit of a breeze.
I mean, we can hear the old guy out.
Yeah.
The poster will still be there.
Yeah, yeah. And also, we're not going anywhere for the moment.
Yeah, I was
so-
gonna say, like, I got nothing better to do.
I
Yeah,
can't
let's-
even see anything.
There's a faint light. You can see just enough that you can ensure that you stub every toe you have on the edges of the beds.
Is
How
it
many
coming from
toes is
John's
that?
eyes?
What was that?
My question was, is the light coming from John's eyes? And Charles's question was, how many toes is that?
Because you said every toe he has.
So the light that comes from Cinder's face is just really a smoldering coal that you would, if you had enough of them,
You can always see where I am,
yes,
but that's
just
probably
very
about
faintly.
it.
It's not enough to really illuminate the room.
And how many toes?
I believe that you have all 10. Did you reattach the one from that lodestone incident?
No, I gave that away as a present.
So
for,
you have 9
Yeah.
or 8 and a
Celebrate
half.
Life Day. Okay, well, let's hear what the Maggot Man knows about this place. If he supposedly knows anything.
Or is it just a
which I
bunch
sup-
of maggots?
Yeah.
So he goes into a coughing fit, and none of you can see it. It sounds very wet and throaty, but you, Cinder, see he looks like he's maybe coughing out some maggots, or maybe they're just falling off his face, but it's definitely very gnarly. Go ahead and Cinder and Grieg, why don't you go ahead and roll me d8s?
Dan Krieg?
Yeah, the two of you.
I got it too.
Okay. All right. So after he cackles, he seems to kind of slip into a little bit of like a fugue state. And he goes,
Nice.
No one likes each other. No one. And there goes my Dracula accent out to something completely different, but I'll do my best.
I like it. I like it's
like
like
it,
a,
yeah.
He's
It's
just
like
going
a
to shift the
Technicolor
voices.
code of accents.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Each bug, different
and-
accent.
After some more cackling, he says, The further down, the worse it gets.
We are in the platform.
That's handy information though. Further down, the worse it gets. Like,
Yeah,
good to
it
know.
is good information to have.
I have
Um,
been here for far too long. I wish to see the surface again. If you would help me escape here, I have nothing to offer, as I am but an old man, but I would be grateful.
well, I being a esoteric hermit, like nothing is the best thing you could offer me because it's like my favorite thing. It's the thing that I have the most of. So
Well,
yeah, like I'm down to
That's-
help.
that's a really good point. As an esoteric hermit, do you immediately recognize the name Anuk Schleger?
Anuk Schleger.
Roll me a presence check.
Presence
so that's
check is
D20
a
plus your presence.
Gotcha.
And for you, that is a +2.
No need. That's a nat 14. So
Fantastic. So at first you don't make any note of this name. And as you start to think about all the many texts you've read in your cave, you recall that there was an author for the nameless verses. Those verses that talk about the end of the world leading to the ultimate 7x7. This is the author of those. He has to be
Sweet.
ancient. And
I'm a big fan of his work. Yeah, like I've got to get this guy topside if I can. So being a miserable old bastard of a hermit, I'm not very good at persuasion, but that's where my heart's at.
from the other side of the wall where there's other cages, you hear someone shout at you, "Hey, shut up over there. I'm trying to sleep."
No,
There's
you
Cinderite.
shut up.
I don't have fire hands.
I was gonna say, yo, Cinder Eyeballs, like Johnny Blaze, look over there and tell us what's up with that guy.
I refuse to respond to Johnny Blaze. I
But the Charles are calling you.
seeing as I am not the Ghost Rider and I do not have the spirit of vengeance, I refuse. I mean, I shout back,
Grieg
hey,
is
unless you're gonna make us a deal to help us escape, you shut up.
so you and Grieg shout at this man,
Yeah, we shout.
and he you see a figure sit up in bed that you noticed before, and he just vaguely glowers, makes some obscene gesture, and then curls back into bed, muttering something about your mother and extended relatives and their fidelity.
Oh, are we being too loud with our bid for freedom?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my
Jackass.
mother. Does things on the weekend. Way to yuck her yum.
Yeah, Greg's mother is a saint. A fucking maybe, but a saint.
A saint of all prostitutes. Yeah.
That's a good.
She is a
change.
delight.
The prisoner shouts back, well, you've been here as long as we have. You know that there's just no escape from this place. No one has made it out. The only
Not with
place
that fucking attitude. We're getting you out of here, old man.
the only
Yeah.
place you're going to escape to is the soup.
On our way
I
out,
like that.
can we hit him in the head with something blunt?
Well, soon
We're
you
in
got
a
to find a way out
cell,
of here.
dude.
We'll get the keys. We'll get to him. We'll
and
blunt his head.
Anouk Schlegel just kind of chuckles to himself, and he's like, he's been here longer than some, but not as long as me.
Okay, well, you know what? Fuck it. Let's move the plot along. I vote that we head for that. I'm gonna pretend it's a hang in there kitty poster on the back of the cell, just because that makes me happy. And
I mean, it's a taxation. He told us what kind of poster it is. It's taxation.
I said
It
I'm
is,
gonna
but at the same
pretend.
time, it has a cat. Like, it's all
Yeah.
written on the belly of the cat.
I like
Taxation
that.
is your duty.
Yeah. Let's peel that tax happy cat back and see what's beneath. I hope I'm not about to get a face full of something deadly because I might lose both of my hit points.
If
you want,
just
I can-
spiders.
My character, I think, would be dumb enough to peel it back and just stick his head in, even though he can't see.
Yeah, let that guy do it.
Yeah. Yeah, let me do it. I'll open up the poster and look in.
So when you peel back the Fathoms Redemption poster, you see that there is a narrow hole in the wall that looks like it's been chiseled over time. It's a very crude tunnel. It's just enough room for you to squeeze through if you want.
I'm sorry, did you say chiseled?
Which way to the crossbow shop?
That's what.
So are you wanting to force yourself in this hole, or are you doing anything else in this
I mean, I'll
space?
ask the hole for its consent before I go in, but you know.
Yeah, I say, well, is he like gonna fit? Being all beefy and so forth?
And my strength is +2.
It is going to be tight. You can go ahead and make me an agility check. Let me know what you got.
Agility check. 13 plus
'Cause I was
2.
gonna say, like, I'm a withered old man. I can probably slide right on in there, no problem.
That's a 15, Daddy.
All right, so Grieg, you're able to kind of dislocate your shoulders just enough to really squeeze in this. Are you just poking your head in, or are you crawling the length of this?
Why would I just poke my head in?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. So you squeeze and squeeze in this tunnel, and the further you're meandering in this very tight tunnel, you're beginning to come across this stench that is blowing in from the room beyond. It smells very much like rotting meat, and it's not a very pleasant smell. Up ahead, you get a little bit of a glimpse of a room full of torture instruments. You see an Iron Maiden in the corner, a rack, various other things that make you really squeamish, and hanging from the ceiling are 3 disemboweled bodies. You see their bodies are just still dripping as if this didn't happen too terribly long ago. There's a shuffling sound from beyond your vision. You hear something large moving in the space beyond.
Okay, so dead bodies, torture devices, something shuffling. Am I in that room or am I just looking into the room?
You're looking into it, and you can pop out at any time you want.
Pop out like
Pop
Into
into
the-
the room.
okay, because yeah, why not? Let's not lollygag. We gotta go in there and find weapons and things to break out of prison and to get a bug guy.
As,
am I doing?
as soon as I heard dead bodies, or as soon as he shouted it back or whatever, I was in there going, because bodies means heads, heads means teeth, teeth means more jewelry. So
Teeth means a
I'm-
commission that I
Yeah.
have some pocket flour that need a windmill. Made
I'll
of
make you.
molar.
Yeah, I'll make you a windmill out of molars. I think I can do that.
Phew.
I
Don't like that.
that. All right. So when you pop into this room, it's very, very faintly lit. There are two torches that are pretty low down on their burn time, barely illuminating this place. In the corner, you hear the sound of metal grinding against stone, and you see a huge hulking figure. This figure has its back to you, but it is so tall and meaty that it is stooping in this space. So it is at least 8 feet tall, slightly curled over. It's breathing hard and heavy, and it seems to not notice that you're in this space, as it is sharpening something that glints very menacingly in the low torch light.
Is he bigger than me?
He is 2.5 times larger than you. And
Oh.
the other thing, when you jump into this room, your feet are wet, and you look down and you see that there is a veritable river of blood going from this room down a corridor to your west.
It is my happy place. I love this. Do you guys want to follow the river of blood instead of like fucking with the 9-foot tall cannibal, or like?
I feel pretty strongly that following the river of blood is the smarter decision.
Now,
I-
Cinder, did
I-
you follow?
No, I'm still in the cell, waiting to hear back, waiting for them to let me know it's safe. I am.
Being so small and withered and easy to like slip in, maybe I act as a courier and like
A conduit.
wriggle back there. Yeah, wriggle back there and tell him what's up, and then wriggle back into the room to catch back up with the miller.
Can I look for any kind of weapon while I wait for the communication relay?
So, on a rack close to where that thing is sharpening its device, there are various torture implements. There are various bone saws, hacks, cudgels, and various things, but you're going to be going right up next to it.
Is it worth it? I eyeball him and wait for the group. Start trying to figure out an attack that my experience is grain goes into grinder and we push the lever to make it spin.
Trained
None
for
of the
combat
supplies.
perfectly. Yeah.
None of the supplies.
It's like Karate Kid. Like all of that milling is taught you without
Just
you
like-
knowing. Yeah.
So Conan the Barbarian, what did he do?
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
first
He just pushed the
film?
wheel. Just pushed the wheel
Yeah.
for like a long time and got real big.
I'm ready
Yeah.
for this.
I don't know about that.
You could crank
hail
that
Crom.
torture rack. That would be pretty close to grinding and threshing wheat.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at him. I'm looking at the torture rack. I'm waiting for the group to get back.
All right. I'm assuming, John, are you coming with me when I return?
Yeah. When you come back to get me, I come with you.
I'm gonna very much try to talk my. I might as well give my hermit a voice. I'm going to say, "Excuse me, Mr. Miller. I really think it's like our least wise option to attack the very tall man who smells like human blood and entrails."
Oh no, little fella! But look, you see, we have the torture rack right there, and what we do is we take him, we put him on straps, and then we crank the rack so that his joints come out of sockets.
And that is how workout machinery was born.
Mercati, I'm getting a old man in the bathrobe from Family Guy vibe.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was going for.
Really? Okay. Hey, little boy, do you need all of your teeth? Great. So as you are now talking in the space with this hulking brute, I will need the both of you to make me a presence check.
Okay. 11, and I think my presence is 2, so that's a nat 13, which
That's
I
correct.
just squeaked by.
What about you, Greg?
So you said I was trying to hit 4?
Yes. So you two are talking and making your plan right as that this hulking thing stops filing and stops honing whatever this blade is.
Ah,
It turns and sees the two of you and then Cinder crawling out of this hole, perhaps. It fixes its beady, piggish eyes on you.
I'm your sins made manifest. I screech at him.
Go ahead and roll me a reaction. So roll me 2d6 and add me your presence.
That'd be an 8.
I have made a lot of sins in my day, and you don't look like none of it. Get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to work.
No, not my...
That's such a good comeback to that.
I mean,
Now,
look,
you aren't trying to escape from your cell, now, are you? And
Why would
he
we do
holds
that?
This thing looks like a meat cleaver, and it shines very cruelly in the faint light. To you, with the low light vision, you see this thing as razor sharp looking.
Does he have any other weapons on the table? Anything like?
Oh yeah, basically any torture implement that you can think of, even down to thumb screws and.
Because here's the deal, guys. I have a piece of leather covering my dick, and that's about it. So if we're going to survive the night, we need to start stealing some gear.
True, but
yeah.
we're gonna have to go through this, dude. Well, all right. You know what?
I already told you the
This
plan.
dragon-
I'm outvoted. All right. All right. So I am right out of the gate gonna start singing a haunting melody with my special ability to assist my beefy friend in his next role, whatever dumbass thing he's gonna do. Which, if I'm not mistaken, that
It's everything I do.
that haunting song adds 1d4 to whatever his roll is.
That's 2 reaction rolls. So as you have just rolled,
okay.
but you've rolled an 8, and you're getting a plus D4 to that, as you are still trying to parlay with this thing. So go ahead.
So I add a D4 to what I did.
He's going to roll the D4, and he's
Okay.
going to add it to what you rolled, and then we'll
Okay.
figure out.
Make it a 4.
That is an additional 2.
Okay, so 10.
So as you begin to smile in your odd, childlike old man voice, this hulking brute, he almost relaxes a bit. The tension from his hunched shoulders that are scraping the ceiling slouch a little bit, and he stops to think, and he looks straight into your beady coals, Cinder, and he's like, I've already done all these. I'm tired and I need a break. I'll give you a running start. How about that? I still need to clean up these limbs. And he points over to the rack where there's just limbs stuck tied, and the torso is like slid off on the floor, and it's still just like running its blood into the rivulets that feed this river of blood. He's like, now you have the time until I clean up all this, and then I'm coming for you. So don't you hide too hard.
I recommend that we run.
I mean,
I was going to recommend we help him.
I was going to recommend that we just nonchalantly wait for him to do that while we just walk over, grab weapons, grab whatever, because he's going to be cleaning up, and we have till he's done. That is a contract. That is a verbal contract.
Counterpoint, we could pick up a rock and
Okay,
hit him on the
rock,
back
go
of
on.
the head.
I don't think that's gonna do the trick, dude. He's like 9 feet tall, and
No, John's
Your
Jewish. He's
height
got
does not
this.
have any sort of impact on the thickness of your skull.
provably
His
not true.
shoulders, having
Oh, is
been
it?
previously relaxed, tenses, and he's like, I can hear everything you are saying. Get
Well, that's
fuck out.
rude.
I didn't
First
say
of
anything
all.
in character yet.
All right,
I love
so what?
how
So what are you doing?
how patient this sadist is. He's just like, really, it's just all in a day's work. These guys are just extra paperwork. God damn it.
I'm literally immune to fear, so like he's
Yeah.
not doing anything to me.
That's one of his class abilities. There are 6 different types, and one of them is being absolutely immune to fear and pain effects. So, all right.
I,
So
on
what's
the
your
other
plan?
hand, am a frail old man. I have no fucking clue. These two are the pilots. I'm just a terrified passenger.
We need weapons. He has weapons, but if we can't get past him, here's my worry. If we leave the weapons sitting on the table, if we leave it sitting on the table now, when he comes after us later, we'll be just as fucked, but without an opportunity to get weapons.
So we go down the River of Blood, hide out in a very small, cramped space that's just beyond his reach, wait for him to get bored, leave, come out, and get the weapons.
Can we bobsled down the river?
Guys, he can still hear us.
I am not in character.
To be fair to Charles and Ian, we also aren't telepathic, so we can't communicate any of this.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's just fucking take down the river. Let's surf down that River of Blood and see where it takes us. I'm sure there will be more opportunities for weapons that do not
You
involve.
say that, but I've seen Morkborg before.
So
Look,
who's
I don't
ta-
want to leave all those beautiful teeth, but we've got to make sacrifices to get the fuck out of here. Also, we got to go find our friend the Maggot Man. I really want to get him to the surface. Like,
Okay, let's go down the river.
he
All
wrote
right.
the unknown verses. It's pretty dope. Yeah. Okay.
You're lucky.
Down the river
I
we
say
go.
to the cannibal as I.
How
Head.
deep is this River of Blood?
So if you look at this, I mean, this looks like a channel that has been carving its way through the rock for a while. It's really only a couple of inches deep, but it runs at an angle down through this room, through this corridor to the west and beyond. The corridor that you're in is going to be entering is tall. It's breezy because you can see that there are some vents that go up far to maybe the surface because you think you see a slight hint of moonlight. And the River of Blood itself only extends halfway through the width of this thing. So you could flank on either sides and not have to wade in this stuff. Who's taking point down this corridor?
Let's have Mr. Dark Vision do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So as you're going first down this corridor to the west, you see that there is, this has been very roughly carved from the rock face itself, and there are fist-sized holes pockmarking both sides of the walls that lead darker into the rock. And as soon as you step into this tunnel, your low-light vision cuts off, and you just have normal vision that's illuminated by this faint moonlight. There's something very strange about this tunnel that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stick up?
I don't have hairs on the back of my neck, but
that
I
makes the
understand what
skin
you're saying.
flakes curl up crustily on the back of your
Okay.
on the back.
Let me posit
on the back
this.
of your neck stick up.
Fist-sized holes in the corridor
That makes the
seems to
skin
me to
flakes
shriek
curl up
nest of
crustily
something.
on the back of your
And I'm not sure how we go about not waking this thing up, but like that would be my advice.
Are you saying I shouldn't talk at all?
It's too late.
They
for that.
could.
We're already-
That's a possibility. Let me posit Hand of Glory holes.
Okay. All right. I'm willing to test that proposition. I'm a hermit, you know. It's like it's been a minute.
Are you testing this hypothesis? Are you going to shove your hand in one of these holes, Cinder?
Is that what you think you shove in a glory hole, Ian?
Hey, I was trying to keep this to an R rating, not M.
If your hand as hot dogs for fingers,
I broke John. I broke John. That's fucking great.
I'm back. Back.
You missed the hot dog hand reference from Everything Everywhere All at Once. So are you going to be inserting a hand into the hole?
No, Charles is.
I'm not going to test that thesis. Actually, I was making a little bit of a hermit joke. I would say that we should move very quietly down this hallway, and hopefully not wake anything up.
All right.
I test. I reach into one of the holes.
All right. Roll me d6.
The thing is,
And that's how many fingers you lose.
The reason I'm doing this is Cinder has no fear, like is incapable of feeling fear, and so it's like, I wonder what's in this hole.
And you also have no pain, so like there would be really nothing to keep you from.
Oh, you roll a 6?
Yep.
All right.
So
it was 2d6, right?
It was 1d6.
Oh, then 1.
All right.
I rolled a 1 on my first die and a 5 on the second. So
all right.
I'll go with the 1.
So you shove your hand into a hole, and you feel a crunch as something is biting into your thick, charred, almost like an exoskeleton in a way. How thick and charred your skin is. If you feel like incisors biting into you, but it's not enough to actually do you any damage with your armor soak. And I'm
going to close my hand on whatever's biting it and pull.
Are you crushing it, or are you holding
it
firmly?
I am firmly grasping it and tugging it.
Just trying to say hello. Yeah.
You pull a rabbit out of the hole, but it doesn't have fur. It has translucent skin, and its bones are glowing. And it's almost like this jelly rabbit skeleton horrible thing, and it looks at you with these like red beady eyes, and it itself is almost illuminating this corridor like a glowing torch. And it's just
cool.
Like it's just like
I turn to the other two. Ta-da! And then, with it still like gnawing on me, I hold it above my head to illuminate the area and start walking again.
Excellent.
So using the old rabbit as a torch trick, you're able to.
I solved your rabbit riddle.
You see that towards as this corridor is extending, that on the north face of this wall, there's a lever sticking out of the wall, and up ahead, it looks like there is a turn in the corridor. Presumably, if you know your geospatial orientation, we go back to where your cells are. Continuing still west and turning a little bit, it looks like it goes into another space beyond that's just out of sight of your rabbit torch.
Well, again, I want to get the author of the Unknown Verses out, so let me go have a looky-loo at that corner and just like peep my head around and see if there's
Did you tell us that's your intent?
Yes.
Then Cinder would pretty much be all in.
Cool.
I follow my hermit friend to provide him with light.
To go towards the ascent, going more to the west where it bends a little bit to the north, or back towards the jail, like the cells?
back towards the cells, since that's
Okay, so
where
that
he's
is
still confined.
turning
Yeah.
to the south. And Grieg, you are doing what?
I'm hanging out.
Chilling.
Hey, I mean,
You also can reach in holes if you want.
I'm thinking about those weapons back there that we've left behind.
Oh
I'm
my
still thinking about
god.
them too.
Just kicking rocks, just like everyone else wanted to go down this stupid hole, and we could have taken them. It would have been fine. No, I'm just hanging out.
Okay.
I
All right.
agree.
You guys are being real indecisive for a prison break.
No,
You're like,
no, not at all. I've been very clear, and John's coming with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to
I
spring
am-
the
So-
old man.
Okay, so when you go west through the corridor and turn to your south back towards where these jail cells are, you can see now a little bit better with this rabbit torch, for lack of better words. And you can see that, again, there are 9 of these cells. So you've got 3 cells on each sides of the east, west, and south walls of this place. In the center of this place is a giant square hole that looks downward. Are any of you looking down that hole? Otherwise, Schlegel is on the wall, on the east wall of this last cell in the row.
Before we
I
go
wanted-
much further, I would like to ask my crispy friend if I can, by taking it carefully by the neck so it can't bite me, borrow his glowing rabbit for just 1 second. Because I heard. Go ahead.
Howard, but your skin is not as resilient as mine. And he offers you the rabbit, like dangling it from his finger as it's like chopping.
Well, yeah. See, the thing is, like, I want them rabbit teeth because, like, curved, hooked rabbit teeth have got to make some cool jewelry.
And they're glowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The skeleton's
Uh,
glowing, so the teeth too, right?
Yeah, I want them teeth. So like, what we can get to that whenever. But I
But
just
you don't
wanted to
kill
do
it.
I
It may
just
stop
wanted to
glowing
do.
when you kill it.
I just wanted to do an impression, which was like holding the glowing lantern, because I'm the hermit and I was going to be a tarot card, but really not worth it. So let's just go see if we can, or I'm going to cross to the maggot man's cell and see if I can't spring him somehow. I'm going to inspect how his cell is closed.
So it's closed and it has a keyhole in it. It looks to be like where a fairly large skeleton key would be placed. You can see, just kind of looking around you, there's nothing obvious. You don't see any jailers currently here or any kind of key hooks that might have keys dangling from it. The east wall has 3 cells, and each one of them seems to have 1 prisoner, but the cells to the south here don't seem to have any prisoners in them.
Does Maggot Man have any advice on where the keys are?
He is, when you ask him that, he goes, well, sometimes there is a key lying around. There's a skeleton key, and he seems to kind of like chuckle to himself like it's an inside joke. And you can see that he indeed is covered in maggots. And he goes, if you can't find the skeleton, then the skeleton key, sometimes, well, you'll just... He seems to like think. He goes, you'll just have to get it from one of the guards.
I think I know what the skeleton, like where the skeleton key is, if we can find the room, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So, let's just. I would venture that we keep exploring. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I wonder if Maggot Man is in fact a skeleton covered in maggots, and he just has the key.
That would be pretty fun. I would like that. This is the rabbit, by the way.
Oh, lovely.
It's not biting enough. I mean, if you want, Grieg, you could just reach in there and throttle him and see if he is actually a skeleton or not.
I think
rescue you.
I'm gonna ask Polly first. Excuse me, Mr. Maggot Man, sir. Would you happen to be actually anthropomorphized skeleton type creature and just covered in the maggots?
He kind of rolls his eyes, like not insultingly, but he like rolls them in the back of his head, and then he just pulls his robe open, and you see that
Nice.
he's just absolutely emaciated, like skin plastered to bones, and maggots are all over his body. So they're crawling all over his scars that crisscross his body, and it's just gnarly. There's patches of hair in various places going wild, moles and things.
See, this is like my body, and so like when I do that, I call it the full reveal, and I save it for special occasions.
No more
you know,
horses.
yeah, that's right.
I was thinking that.
Goodbye, horses.
So you guys, I
that'll
am
be another one of my
nothing but a
haunting
man.
songs. And
Well, there
and
goes
by the
that.
look of it, he's all man. I don't know.
Just one little maggot right there in the middle.
Yeah, let's get the fuck
I
out of here.
remember having skin.
It was largely an unpleasant experience.
Since I'm covered in dead skin, if those maggots get on me, wouldn't they consume me entirely?
well, are you
Well,
still
you're
full of
crispy,
fire
you're not
though?
wet.
But maggots eat dead skin. Like, maggots are generally used for burn victims to eat all the necrotic flesh.
Rotted, but when it's burnt, it's not really edible.
And also,
As someone who's done a lot of barbecuing, I disagree.
you've got burning coals for eyes, right?
I
So,
do.
like, aren't you like on fire on the inside?
Yes, but it's a passion for jazz flute, actually.
All right. With that,
Well, with
With
that
that-
resounding sigh from Ian, I know we've pushed him too
Oh
far.
no! I was stopping myself.
Are
from
you
making
remembering
stupid
where the
TikTok
flute
joke.
is?
I am.
so who wants to steer for a little while as we explore this dungeon, looking for?
I want to look in the
skeleton
big
team.
hole.
All right, cool.
I've been pretty hole enthusiast this whole game, so I'm not going to stop now. I'm going to go look down the big hole.
So when you
Do
look
it.
down the big hole, it
Oh.
looks.
Sorry, Ian, is my dark vision back?
Yes, it's only was in the hallway that it seemed like your eyes kind of like snuffed out for a second.
Okay,
So
I'm keeping the rabbit there.
So when you look down the hole, it does seem to resemble that platform thing that you were mentioning about levels of cells going down deeper,
Mhm.
multiple layers of it, but maybe 2 or 3 layers down, there's roiling magma below there. Like it's actively churning and geysering a bit, and you're just buffeted with just waves of heat and the smell of sulfur and brimstone.
Don't do it. Don't
Oh,
jump.
this is such a new experience for me.
Don't-
Whatever
don't-
shall I do?
Don't jump. Don't do it.
Why? You guys are the one that need to be blessed.
Well, yeah.
I might know a way out.
Death is your only escape. Yeah.
There's a song on the Mortal Kombat Annihilation soundtrack called "Death Is the Only Way Out,"
Nice.
and now you know. I turn back around, carrying. I'm petting my rabbit, like scratching behind the ears. Whether or not it's calming down, I am trying to calm this rabbit down.
It's still just like vigorously chomping at every part of you it can.
Yeah, I understand that. I've had pet rabbits, but I'm trying.
Yep. All right, so
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
After I look down that hole, I turn around and look up.
you can see that up it looks like there's some type of like a lift, like a platform that'll come down.
Are we on the top floor, or are we on like a middle floor?
Well, you have no way of knowing that, unfortunately.
So let me rephrase that. Is the lift directly above us?
Yeah, it's like
Ceiling.
implanted into the ceiling.
Okay, so we can't see any higher. Gotcha.
Well, that means there's at least one floor above us.
Theoretically, I mean, yeah. That's assuming that like the elevator's not some sort of hideous trap that just like squashes you into the roof or whatever. But
One way
we
to
can-
find out. Let's
Only
get that
one way
other
to find
prisoner out and push him in there.
let's go looking for some weapons and maybe some like I don't know hot greasy action with one of those guards.
Are you checking any of these like unoccupied cells?
Yeah,
or are
I'll
you
look
gonna
in the
go-
unoccupied cells.
So with the cells that are to the south, are the three of you trying any of the doors?
Yeah, might
Oh,
as
sure.
well.
Yeah.
All right, so like Grieg, you grab one of the doors with your brawny arms and you pull on it thinking it's locked. It's not locked. It just swings right open. It's loud, squeaky, rusty hinges, and you can see there is one bed in here, no poster, and just a very crusty old chamber pot in the corner.
Okay.
Who wants that chamber pot? No one? Okay.
Trying to quit.
Next cell.
So you're not gonna like frisk down anything. You're just visually inspecting, just making sure I
I'll
understand.
visually inspect the goddamn chamber pot, I guess.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm just trying to make sure that
He needs you
weren't,
to taste it to see if it tastes weird. Ian needs
Sure.
this.
Okay. No, I will actually go inspect the chamber pot. Maybe there's an unexpected treasure.
I'm trying
in
to
there.
figure if you're like inspecting the mattress of the bed, if you're like looking under things, or you're just
All
doing
right.
like a, oh, I don't
let me
see her
put
like
it this way. Let me put it this way.
Ransack the bed.
Do you know
Okay.
when a corrections officer, do you know what a shakedown is in a
Yes.
cell? That's what I do.
well, Grieg got you first to that because
Oh,
he said
okay,
he was
cool.
going to shake down, so he'll get this one. So go ahead and roll me D4, Grieg.
D4. 4.
So believe it or not, there is a rusty cutlass that is
Nice.
underneath the mattress, and it's been there so long it's made a rust stain on the underside of the mattress.
That seems like a major oversight on the part of the prison staff.
I will name
I'm
it
not
tetanus.
OSHA. So it is a D6 sword.
Nice. No longer unarmed, guys.
Woo!
Are you checking the other cells?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
especially now.
all right. So I know that you said that you wanted to do a shakedown as well. So if you want to go ahead and do that, Mercari, you can go to the next cell. It's also unlocked. Roll me a D4.
Cool. I'll do it. D4. And the result is a 2.
So you find a desiccated, mummified finger, and the tip of it, the skin has been peeled away like a wax pencil, and the bone has been filed into a point with teeth on it.
Cool. It's a key. I like it. I'm immediately gonna try that on the Prophet guy's cell.
So when you turn it, there's this snap, like you're like popping your fingers, and the bone itself crumbles into a dusty red cloud, and you hear the door latch internally pop open.
Hell yeah! All right, we got a new
Schlegger-
party member.
Schlegger thanks you with a shower of maggots as he flings open the door, and he says, "Thank you, my friends."
And I tell him I'm a big fan of his work, and he should keep the maggots to himself. But I've studied his work extensively, and I'd like to know his thoughts once we get to the surface.
Oh, keep them to myself. And he starts to scoop the maggots off the floor and put them in his pockets.
Wonderful.
I love
right.
it. He's gonna save all of them. Like that's good. That's not wasteful. Like
You wanting to investigate the last unopened cell on the south wall, or start to head out of here?
I'll look in that last cell. I'll shake it down.
All right, give me a D4.
One.
Nothing. Like you flip it over, and all you see is that there are like graffiti scratches Looked like someone had scratched Fat Moose Sucks something that's very vigorously scrubbed out. And you could see someone try to re-scratch over that, the word they were trying to say, and you can see it's been scratched out by a different instrument. And it's a back and forth series of just graffiti that's just been vandalized back and forth. And of course, there's like a phallus that is incised into the bed because they're everywhere.
I
So,
lean down
yeah,
and in skin ash, I write, for a good time, contact Grieg's mom.
I get it.
So you go back towards the way you came in that tunnel that kind of blanked out any type of light source except for the rabbit. And you can hear coming from the east where that torture room is the sounds of what sounds like wet meaty chunks being like dumped into a tub, and a very odd like happy tune as you hear what like a mop being slopped, and he says, "I can hear you," like very faintly down the hall.
Yeah.
"I'm almost done."
I do like that he enjoys his custodial duties. It's important to enjoy your work.
Hygiene is important.
Yes. What do you guys think?
Grieg,
So he hears us out here. We could sneak back around, and like that way, when he leaves the torture room, we'd go in and get more equipment.
I don't hate that.
I mean, sure. If you think it'll work, I'm willing to give it a try.
I mean, one of us will have to stay at the like opening, and that way we can like throw a rock, make a noise so he comes out, and then we can duck back in.
I'm not that guy.
So you'll need to pop the lock on your cell to get back in, and then crawl through the wall. So there's a time sacrifice with doing that. You also don't know what's around that corridor that bends a little bit to the north.
Did the skeleton key dissolve?
It did. It broke
Yeah,
into
it puffed into
Well, I have I got nothing.
So you're either going to be.
I'd like to be able to free all the prisoners in the room, but we can't. Like, we don't have another key, so I guess they're fucked. That's too bad.
Okay, so I have a cutlass. I will be the one to make noise and draw him over here, while you guys go back and arm yourselves with Maggot Man, and then we can flank him.
I like that.
Okay. So go ahead and make me a strength check as you force your sword into the lock and try to pop it forcibly.
7 to beat it. Yeah, 7. That's all I
So
need it.
you shove the tip in this, and you start to flail loud. That one the prisoner who's yelling at you for being loud earlier is like, "Seriously, shut up!" They're gonna hear you. And as you do you continue to try to pop the lock?
Yeah.
Okay, and then also as a reminder, since we have an hour, like less than an hour of game time, some of you have omens. Don't forget to use your omens if you need them.
I don't have omens, right?
You have, I believe, 1 omen. Greg?
I do?
Let me check.
Oh, omens.
But you have 2. Yes, right.
I
Because you have D2 as a non-class, and I actually rolled for 2, so you have them when you need them.
All right. Well, then I'll use an omen.
To re-roll your strength check. Okay, then go ahead and do that.
13 plus
All right.
2. 15.
So, as you burn an omen, you feel the skeins of fate kind of weaving around you oddly, and you feel time rewrite itself. You don't hear that prisoner yell out. Like, you feel the tumblers underneath this point of your blade, and you pop the lock silently, and no one seems to hear it. So you're able to open up this door and get back into your cell.
All right. Well, I guess that being withered and scrawny. Well, he's back, but he's not back. There he is. I'll go into the wall first this time, and stop short of entering the chamber with the giant guard guy.
Okay.
I'm
So
going
you
to my bars and I'm just raking the cutlass across it to keep like noise level higher out here.
Warriors, come
Now,
out to play.
you hear that prisoner shouting at you
Yeah.
about the shutting up. And you, as you are watching Makari from the corridor, the tunnel, you see that even though that Grieg is making all this noise, the brute, for lack of a better term, this big hulking figure, is still busying himself with like untying the last limbs on the rack. But you can hear, all of you can hear, coming from the corridor, that black corridor around the bend. You didn't hear. You're hearing heavy footfalls coming this ways, and you're seeing a weird
boogies.
light begin to fill
It's that Wick
corridor.
So I do have a dim memory from my beating as I was brought to this place, and I had a prize ring that was made out of the molar of a hanged man, and that fucking wick-headed bastard stole it from me on his way tossing me into the cells. So I don't know. I'm almost tempted to borrow the cutlass and go take a poke at him, but
So it looks at you. It turns around the bend, and you feel it's looking at you. There's no eyes. It's just a giant, almost like a lantern-like head with like a wicker outer contrivance holding it together, but you feel it glare and intensify angrily. Like you can see the light of it in itself beginning to intensify. So go ahead, and we're going to just roll into combat because this thing is not very happy to see you. Grieg, why don't you roll me agility plus d6. We'll just do this round robin initiative for expediency, and we'll see who gets the drop. What
So
did you
agility plus D6. So I
That's
roll my
correct.
agility, and then I add D6.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me specify. D6 plus your agility modifier.
Okay. Well, sorry, 19. I don't get to use you. Leaner. All right. So that is 4.
All right. So as you've been preparing to fight this big hulking thing, you're surprised to see this lantern-headed thing. So you get the drop on it. You're just kind of caught off guard that you're seeing this. So you, Cinder, and Anuk see this head guard come in, and it is brandishing.
Are wickheads like wickheads are from? I feel like wickheads are fairly well known, like goblins, and I assume this is a wickhead.
Yeah, it's a wicked.
Okay. What I'm asking is, would we understand what this is, or is this something strange and weird?
I think it just depends where in the world you're from, but probably you might be familiar that these things are very vicious, knife-wielding monstrosities who delight in peeling flesh off of people. So
who doesn't?
So if you were one who could feel fear, but you feel no fear, you would feel fear about seeing this thing.
Nothing.
All right, so
I don't know any better.
We'll do round robin for initiative. We'll start from my visual field. So we're going to go ahead and Grieg, you're going to be top of the initiative, followed by Cinder, and then Anuk, and then we'll figure out what you're doing since you're kind of in between zones as you're in that tunnel between these two spaces. So you're out of initiative for right now. Grieg, what do you do?
Well, so I have been raking the cutlass across the bars to keep the noise level up so the guy knows to come out this way. So our plan. Where am I in relation to Lantern Head?
All right, so you are catty-corner about 15 feet away, diagonal, as it's coming into the space from the door frame. So you're raking your cutlass by the side of the cell. So you're 15 feet diagonal, so you can advance and attack or do other tactical movements as needed.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's roll up and attack. Been a
All
minute
right.
since Morkborg. We've done a lot of games.
So you're going to roll
since then.
D20, and you're going to add in your strength modifier. Your
I
target
used my
is 12 or
19.
higher as on your result, and successfully hit it.
All right, 18 plus a bunch of stuff. I'm pretty sure that hits.
That absolutely hits.
You said it was a D6, Cutlass?
That's a D6, and you'll add your strength to that.
4.
Then it was adding your strength bonus as well.
2 plus 2 is math.
Absolutely. So you charge forward at the guard, slashing out with it, and you catch it flat-footed, and you draw a. It almost looks like blood, but it also kind of comes out like gelatinously across its chest from the wound, and it makes this shrill, keening sound like you're rubbing thin pieces of glass together, and the light intensifies in its head. You feel the room begin to grow dark as it's begin to like suck in the light in this space. Even the rabbit kind of flickers for a few seconds, but it maintains its luminosity. Next in initiative is Cinder.
I don't have any weapons or clothes on.
You can still do D2 damage of an unarmed attack.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that, though. I'm going to try to keep Grieg between me and the Wickhead.
All right. So Anuk mutters to himself. He shoves his hands into his pockets, and he seems to be talking to a handful of maggots and listening, but nothing seems to be happening. He's just very intensely saying something and getting responses.
That's awesome.
So you're not sure what's happening, but he's very intensely doing whatever he's doing.
Whatever it is, it's going to be rad. I'm going to, meanwhile, worm my way back out of the... Actually, you know what? I'm going to hold position. I'm going to see if that other guy gets, like, sucked into things. So it's not like I could do anything anyway. I mean, other than sing. So
the brute untangles the last limb on this, and he's about to turn and look at you, and he smacks himself upside the head and goes, forgot the Iron Maiden again. And he ambles over and opens this thing. You can hear like the hinges protesting with like crusty blood, and like this moldy corpse falls out of it, and he goes, now I gotta clean this up too. And then just drags the body into this big pile of just mangled bodies in the corner. And he begins to do a quick clean of the Iron Maiden for its next guest. The Wickhead, after it's done kind of making a keening wail, lashes out with this cruel, wicked dagger that's curved and barbed. It lashes out at you, Grieg. So you need to make a defensive roll. So that's going to be a D20 plus your agility. And you need 12 or higher, or you're struck by.
You said 6 or higher, or I'm struck?
No, that's unfortunately you can't round up on that one. So it shanks you.
Okay.
For 3 points of damage with the dagger. It drags against your ribs, and you feel it cut into your bone.
Are you dead?
No, I take it. It's good. It's just scratch.
You almost see a look of surprise in its glassy head, as if it's used to one-hit killing things, but you're probably the healthiest thing it's ever seen, and it redoubles its frustration and makes another one of those high-pitched keening wails that makes your teeth itch. Grieg, you're up in initiative.
All right. Time to...
The other prisoners,
use my second omen.
As the other prisoners are beginning to watch very quietly, but very attentively from the bar, seeing what's going to happen here.
Where'd it go? It's gone forever. About to look for that later. All right.
Enjoy.
You have more than one. No, I got it that time. All right, that is a 13.
That is just enough. So again, you burn your last omen.
Yeah.
And you feel a little bit closer to the grave, but for a moment, You feel like you can see into the abyss and beyond, and you strike true.
All right, so that was another 2 plus the 2, so another 4.
Another 4 points of damage. This wickhead makes now not just like a keening wail, but an abject screech, and the light inside of its head flickers ominously back and forth like a sputtering torch, and it go ahead and roll me 2d6 there, Grieg.
2d6.
That's correct.
5 total, 2 and a 3.
So the okay, so you roll a 5. Hold up. You see for a second like panic maybe in that strobing light, but then it doubles down, and you can see that it links into a more defensive fighting position, and you know that it's going to fight to the death. Next in initiative, Cinder.
I'm going to dart forward and attempt to kick the wickhead towards the open platform hole.
So go ahead and make me a strength check as you try to like grab and kick and
No, kick. I'm not grabbing shit.
Well, keep in mind that so positionally you have the hole. You're basically here. It's here, so you need to get behind it to kick it into the hole. So you would need to really pull instead of push. So you need to make a strength check to.
I mean, I have to make a strength check no matter what I'm doing since it's a attack. How's a 20?
That's you think that you feel pretty good about that. So
I feel pretty good about 20.
So you, as it is recoiling from another just savage blow from Grieg, and it slouches into this fighting position. It's caught off guard that you just run forward and bear hug it. Like you can hear your skin crunching and crackling as you embrace him, and you drag him over to the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and make me one last strength check because it's stuck in your embrace, just so you can roll him over. What?
That's a 21.
So it's weakened from all of the savage wounds from Grieg, and you chuck it down the hole. For a second, you almost think you hear a human-like voice, despite all of its screeching noise, as you throw it. And as it falls down the hole, you see the magma begin to come up as like a big glowing fist, catch it midair. Its wicker kind of exterior catches on fire for a second before it crushes it and pulls it into the magma.
That is not the way we want to get out, by the way.
Good to know. All right.
So
I had him. Why did you do that? I was going to cut him this little ribbons, and then you had to knock him down the hole.
I suplex that motherfucker down the hole. A.
What did I miss?
B. So while Grieg was fighting the wickhead, I ran forward, grabbed him, and then suplexed him into the platform hole. And the magma came alive and grabbed it and pulled it down into the lava.
Dope.
you see Anouk look like nodding, almost thanking the maggots, and then puts him back in his pockets.
What you really missed, Charles, is I rolled a 19 for my first check and a nat 20 for my second check.
Damn. Awesome.
I'm not rolling anything else tonight, by the way, because I know the next shit's going to be cursed.
Man, I was stuck in the wall both literally and figuratively for a second there. Like
I know.
everything on my
RP.
computer just shat itself at once. Like,
Oh no!
yeah.
Your
Luckily,
commitment
I'm back at it.
to like method acting is
Yeah.
very impressive, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very
So
good.
just
you're not sure
vanished
what's
into the
happening since you're
wall.
embedded in
Yeah.
the wall. You hear shrieking, and then you hear some type of unearthly scream, and then you smell burnt hair. And then
Did
it's
it happen
quiet.
to drop its knife?
Roll me 1d6.
Oh
It
no!
lost a lot of goo.
That's a 3.
Yeah, so it dropped it on the floor.
I'm taking that knife.
Do it. You earned it.
Also, like,
It's
A,
covered in
I
Greek's
earned,
blood.
I
There's like
earned
blood
it.
and flour on it.
I earned it, and B, I also, as a fellow flame-related creature, I feel like it's only right. I wiped the blood on the rabbit.
It does not seem very pleased by that. In fact, it like that much harder into your.
We're gonna be friends. I tell it.
Nice. I don't.
Alright,
I
so
won't
back
even.
plan.
I won't even ask you to, take its teeth anymore if you've grown attached to it. All right, I'm gonna get
friends.
out of the wall.
So, for sake of time, we'll just say that you rejoin the party and that it is going to be busy cleaning the Iron Maiden, and you have a little bit more time before it hunts you down if it holds true to its word. So that corridor, that blackened corridor that only the rabbit seems to illuminate, it does extend further to the west, and it curves up to the north if you want to continue heading that way.
That seems the way. Is that the way the Wickhead came?
Yes,
Let's
Yeah,
go
let's
that
go
way
that
then.
way. Yep.
that is the only other way you haven't been this far.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah,
on point?
let's do it.
I will go first, holding the rabbit aloft and the knife like at the ready.
Okay, go ahead and roll me a d3, so 1d6 halved.
Actually, sir, I have a
That's no
D3.
cheese. Okay.
I have a D3, and I never get to use it. So by God, I'm pulling
What
it
the
out.
fuck does a D3 look like?
Hold on.
The one that I have is like kind of like it's like
It's like a D4, but
Yeah.
two of the sides are squished.
Oh, okay.
mine's
Weird.
red.
It's. I found I also have the D30 somewhere.
Yeah, I've got like a d14 or somewhere.
I have a D100 in the basement. It is
I
just
have-
a ball.
I got. Yeah, I have 2 D100s. I have.
All right, roll me that d3
Here
one
you go,
more
D100.
time.
That was a 1 for my D3.
Oh, I thought you said you got a 2. So I
No, I
needed you.
rolled-
Have you
Okay.
burned any omens yet?
Not yet.
So I needed 2 of those rolls. So
One,
one was a
1 and 3.
Okay. So as you turn around this corner, you can see that this is like a small, narrow room that is carved into the rock. It has a humid stench to it. Roughly carved into a wall is a smoldering fireplace upon which are one of those rabbits that is on a spit that looks like it's being neglected, like it's getting really too charred on one side and should be cranked. There's
Same.
another one of those wickhead guards who's asleep on a bedroll in the corner, close to the fire. On the east side of this room, there is a big wooden dresser and a table. It looks like there's cards across it. There are at the table. You notice this, Carthy. There are several piles of teeth. There is a
Nice.
exit to the north, and it looks like it extends further into darkness.
Do Wickheads have throats?
That is a very great question. Usually they kill people before people can study their anatomy. Or they're thrown
Well-
into magma holes.
Well, there's one sleeping right there, and I have a knife, and I'd like to know if I can slit its throat.
I was thinking more of ingesting, but if you want to attack this thing while it's sleeping and get the advantage, you could certainly do so.
I am worried about it flanking us when we make noise later, so I would like to slit its throat. Also, I hide my rabbit's eyes from the scene of its brother cooking.
Very thoughtful of it. You
I
just
rotate
smear
the
the-
brother.
I disagree. You're just hiding the harsh facts of reality from it. It's gonna find out how rabbit stew gets made sooner or
Mr.
later.
Tumpkins has his entire life ahead of him to find that out.
For expediency,
entire-
since
Yeah.
we have like 20 minutes left, we'll go ahead and we'll just have you coup de grace it, since
Yeah.
you would get the advantage and to avoid a prolonged fight there.
I grab its knife and offer it to my hermit friend.
Thank you. So now I've got.
Now we have
woodcut
knives.
Knife too is yeah.
Can we search the room for more knives and stuff?
Oh,
Possibly clothes.
You're out of your mind if you think I'm not taking all those teeth.
You see that most of them look like they're how they're divided. They're almost like poker chips. You have a ton of human teeth, a couple piles of maybe those rabbit teeth, and then you have no idea what the hell that is. It's a
All of
tooth.
them. I want all of them. I want
Yeah.
all of them so
You
bad.
have 3 fistfuls of assorted teeth.
Yes.
Take the Wickhead's pants so you have pockets.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And
no.
you can see what a Wickhead's penis looks like.
I have
And if it has
hermit
teeth.
robes. I have hermit robes, and when I think hermit robes, I think of like bathrobe. So like I'm imagining terry cloth, too big,
I was
like and just
really-
covered in stains. You know.
See, I was really hoping that hermit robes were kind of like the Jinkos of robes or the cargo shorts of robes.
So
just like real kicked out at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
did you say that you are looting its corpse?
No, he said he has hermit robes. He's putting everything in.
Yeah, I don't need the pants. I'm good with just just putting the teeth in my pocket.
Let's still loot the corpse, though, guys. Come on. I don't care if you
go
don't want
right
the
ahead.
pants.
I've got all I want.
Fine, I'll
I play
loot the corpse.
Yeah.
All right, roll me D66. So roll me
While
1
he's
six.
looting the corpse, the hermit sings the loot the body song.
Yeah,
You said
absolutely.
roll a D6.
A D6, so twice, because one's gonna be a tens and one's gonna be one place. So this time there's
Alright.
2 numbers.
That's 5. That's
So
a 6.
56. So as you are digging in his pockets, you pull out a strange ring with a tooth jutting out of it, and
Mine!
it has
Should have looted the corpse.
4 candles in its pocket.
Okay.
That is my property. That ring.
I
That
hand
is-
you the candles, and I look at the ring. Wow, its craftsmanship is excellent. I don't know why you want the candles, but here they are. You go have.
I will throw down with him for this tooth. Like it's my prized possession.
What
I
is
don't wanna have
magic
to.
word? What is the magic word that you
Please.
must say?
Pretty,
it is-
pretty please with flour on top.
My mother told me it was now before she beat me. So you just take it because you're much nicer than her.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
as
excellent.
so if you look down this corridor to the north, you see up ahead that with just a little bit of the rabbit light and the light from the space, that it looks like it maybe opens into a crossroads, but you'll have to get up there to really kind of see more definitively.
All
I
right.
mean, let's get up there to see more definitively. Then
We're all armed at this
definitive.
point.
Okay, well, who's taking point?
again, I
I'm
have a light
injured.
source.
Yeah.
I only have 5 hit
Yes.
points left.
Schlager, as you pass through this room,
That's
takes time
twice as
to
many as I started with.
meticulously
More than
move
twice.
those cards in a certain order on the table, and only after he seems satisfied does he leave the room. But he particularly
Ooh.
just keeps looking at the cards as if he's reading something in them.
Okay.
I'd like to go back and have a look at them before we leave then, just to get a glance of what he's left as a pattern.
He's looks like there's a combination of a 3 pair, a 2 pair, and then a full house. But they're kind of like Tarotica cards. If you read it as a spread, it would seem to indicate grave misfortune, and there are 3 in that full house cards of death with like a leering skeleton. So you're not sure what that means. A lot of death, a lot of skeletons up ahead, or just a lot of
cool.
change.
Either way.
We only
So
killed 2 creatures.
who's taking point as you go further into this?
Well,
Is there other light sources?
Your
Like,
eyes
can everyone else see besides me?
in this room, because there's a fire, but up in that corridor, it is still pretty dark.
Then I assume that I am taking lead in all places where there is no other light.
Now, keep in
Yeah.
mind that Grieg did harvest 4 candles off of the wickheads from the pans. So, All right. Well,
Yeah,
if
I was
you're
gonna
gonna,
say let's all light candles, but you know what? With the game time we have left and with our glow in the dark rabbit, I
Yeah.
think we're
okay.
good.
All right. So, Cinder, if you're taking point, go ahead and roll me a d12.
D12. That is not fantastic. Well, I don't know. It's a 3.
All right. So, as you enter into this space, the river of blood that was running down this corridor, it again kind of pops out of the floor as if it had drained underneath the guard's room and has begun to reflow into this room through some type of underground channel. The river of blood hooks sharply to the west and continues down a corridor, and you see light up ahead from the dark from the west. To the east, there's a corridor that leads towards a large wooden door that is shut with like a big iron ring in it. And to the north, the corridor makes a windy pathway that goes out of sight. As you're getting the lay of this room, um, you hear a rustling coming from the ceiling above you, like it sounds like stone cracking.
I look up.
Roll me an agility.
What's the DC on it?
10.
I
10 or
passed with
18, your choice. What?
I passed with a 17.
Oh, okay. So 3 rocks dislodge themselves from the ceiling, and you lash out, maybe trying to catch one, but with a rabbit in hand, you're not fast enough. So you avoid them, but they fall to the ground and they shatter, exploding, making a loud popping sounds that almost deafen you at first. But your nimble reflexes move you out of the way of the shrapnel.
Awesome.
There is noise that changes from the west to response of your sound. It sounds like clanking.
Uh-oh.
And you smell spices and rotted meat from the west.
It's probably our dude.
Yeah.
Nah, the brute is back in the. Yeah, I don't know.
Which direction had light coming from it?
That would be to the west.
Isn't that where the clanking is also coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you guys
Like
want to run headlong into danger, or do you want to like? We could hide in one of these rooms. I mean, we could go try the one with the big ass iron thingamajig on it.
It sounds like scraping, as if someone is stirring a pot or rubbing some metal together gently.
So there's a kitchen cooking dead prisoners, or a locked door.
You'll know it's locked, and there's a passageway continuing to the north.
All right, so we're getting
You guys
low on
want to
time.
book it to the north, or
John, roll your D3. 1 is the kitchen, 2 is the locked door, or not locked door, and 3 is the path to the north.
Did you know that I used to be a chef and Charles Patchkey has a food-based Instagram? We're going to the
let's go
kitchen,
for it.
boys.
yeah, let's do that.
Well, if Hobbit is on the menu again. So when you approach this corridor, or you're approaching to you're advancing from the west in towards the space, you see that it's brightly lit. Or excuse me, it's dimly lit at first. Like there's a couple of like flashes, like someone's relighting a fire, and there's a stench in the air of very stale spices, putrefying meats, and some other vague smell you can't figure out, like wet dog or spoiled milk or something. And you can see that there are rows of tables on one side of this fairly large space. It's almost like a kitchen plus a mess hall put together. And on the north side, you see that there is a cook station where there is a large chef with just one arm stirring a big pot. He has an assistant by him who is furiously trying to relight a fire underneath this big cauldron of stew. In the center of the space where all the tables are, there is a huge statue to King Fathmu. You can tell because it says on a big placard, and it's covered in drying meat. There are 8 prisoners that are chained to the tables that are eating bowls of soup.
I love it. That is so cool. That is like something I would write straight out of a Charles R. Bernard story. That's wonderful. I love it. We're just gonna hold you here and feed you to each other until there's only one of you left, and he's the fattest one of all. And then I'll eat that one.
So humans have a hard time processing eating other humans. Because I researched this today, unrelatedly. It's kind of like eating rabbit, where like you will eat it and your body will break it down, but it can't like get all the nutrients out, so you slowly starve to death. Basically, the best thing if you're eating human is to go for the fat.
Okay, good to know.
The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know podcast. I listened to them talk about cannibalism for about 2 hours today.
See, I would have assumed it was the ideal food because it has everything that like your body requires to make more body, but
no.
I don't know. What do I know about nutrition?
So the chef looks at you like he's got like one eye bugging out and he's missing an arm like it's a stump. He's got his very messy cook apron with the sleeve tied, and his other arm kind of just ends in it like a gnarled hand where you can see like a lot of the flesh is peeled back, and it looks like he has a spatula that's grafted to his bone. And he is stirring this cauldron. He just looks up at you and he goes, "Is it time to shift change for eating? You hungry?"
Yeah, it's time to shift change. Your shift will change. And then I pull up my cutlass. His funds don't have to work.
Are you threatening me, or are you here to help?
I am here to help the prisoners. Then I run over and free the prisoners with my sword, pirate style.
Nice.
Errol Flynn without
I was
the
about to say, you need the Errol Flynn like huzzah or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I know why he was in prison now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The cook just like looks at you freeing the prisoners. He goes, "Okay, that's a thing you can do. Do you want soup?" The other prisoners look down at their bowl of soup, stop eating it, and they very excitedly run down the corridor, shuffling. You hear the sound of like heavy footfalls, and you hear, I told you to catch up with you. And you see the brutes like squeezing through the big corridor, just grab the prisoners. He's like, "I thought you would get away, would you?" And like you hear like the prisoners like screeching as he like drags them by the chains back to the torture room.
That is too bad for them.
It really is. It really is. I'd like to.
You have a great day. You have a blessed day. I'm gonna go.
All right, fine, we'll go.
Yeah.
It's probably like, what is it they say? Like once you've tried it, that's the only thing you can ever eat again. So, yeah.
Once you can't stop.
Yeah, I've been reading the wrong books, you guys. So, yeah. Let's just get out of here. I will politely decline the soup. Thank you, sir. You have a good one. We got to get out of here.
When you look at him to say that, like the eyes that are bubbling and bobbing at the top of the soup like turn to look at you as you walk out. So we are at 15 till. Did you want to just explore, like poke your head in the next room, or do you want that to be a resting point?
Well,
seems like a natural stopping point to me.
Yeah, let's stop here for a couple of reasons. First, because we want. Hey, you want to know what happens? There's a real easy way to find out what happens.
Back the fucking project.
That's back trapped within.
That's right.
Just as a note, so that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 6 areas that you went through on this level of 15. You barely poked through on just this area, and there's going to be more floors to this. So this would give you a kind of an idea that
Awesome.
some of these could be modular rooms that could be swapped out in relation to one another, or there'd be secret passageways between some of these spaces and other things that I won't spoil. But man, I was really hoping that you would get to room number 9, but
I
you'll
think
have
I
to
know the
find
one
out.
you're talking about, and
we
I
never
was
get
also
where
looking
you
forward
actually
to
want
it,
us to
but-
go.
I know
Really?
That's the rule.
what do you think this, since you think you're mind melding, what is I want to hear your postulation for what room number
Ballroom.
9 is.
Grand piano.
Skeletons.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely a room full of skeletons.
Yeah. I was reading the
The
like,
description. Okay.
the promotional, and yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was
was
that room.
very excited about that.
And you're also the
Which-
one person who could sing.
I know. I was gonna I had a couple songs picked out. Like, yeah, I was
If you
I was
read the-
hoping to really bring the house
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic. If you read the Kickstarter, you'll get an allusion to what we were referencing. So
Yeah.
with that, we'll bring this play test to its conclusion. Well, I guess at least I put a pin in it. Can they escape? Why is Anouk Schlegel still talking to his maggots? And what horrible things can you find in this place? You'll have to discover.
So, gentlemen, we are, all of us, creatives. We all do creative shit. We all have worked in some, like, it sounds weird to say, but we all kind of work in entertainment, right?
Sure.
Podcasting. We create stuff. We create content to be consumed. Like, it's the entirety of my being.
Mhm.
Charles, you spend all day and night feverishly working on your next book. We're in kind of this renaissance of indie content creation. It reminds me of like the zines and the punks of decades past,
Mhm.
with the amount of like content being created. But unlike then, instead of just being able to like throw around some shit you Xerox and staple together yourself at the Kinkos,
Hey.
due to well, like one of my big publishers, St. Rooster, like Tim Murr got his start as a punk band putting together like punk rock and horror stories and zines that he Xerox and stapled and like distributed at a merch table.
A
Like,
lot
it's
of
that
those,
feel.
yeah. I have boxes full of those kind of things that from back in that day. Yeah.
I've discovered so many bands at the demo disc box at the front of my local record store, Waterloo Records here in Austin. It really feels for me an honor to be a part of where content is currently. Like,
Mhm.
there's like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to be the kind of publisher I am today. It just wouldn't exist, and I probably wouldn't have been able to get a start as an author. I just wouldn't have had the tools are in place to do it on your own until you find the community that helps you do it,
Mhm.
which is incredible and amazing. So I just wanted to kind of say that at the top. We do have some housekeeping that I'm going to go through real quick, some pretty cool announcements. But first and foremost, we need to thank our theme music. Bog Wizard does our intro and outro music, which is Barbaria, off the album Purple Miasmic Smoke. They are pulling together right now to they had a few gigs cancel on them, which if you're in the music industry, you know that kind of really fucks with your finances. So they're putting together a bunch of deals. They've added some more merch to their website, which is bogwizard.bigcartel.com. Go and pick up some merch. You can buy a green cassette of a frog in a bog, which is the Bog Wizard Frog Lord cross battle, which is incredible. So please support them as they support us. They are good peoples and make incredible music. We have 3 projects that we are involved with on Kickstarter. First, what we played tonight, Trapped Within. Ian SerVaas is writing and editing on this project. Obviously, we played it tonight. Obviously, it is very cool. However, that is not where the Wandering Monster love ends. Starting next week, we have Sundered Sundries, an aggregation of abominable additions for All Must Bow. If you remember, All Must Bow is the game where we sat around and brainstormed a horrible eldritch deity. We came up with the purpose, and the purpose is a stretch goal for this Kickstarter, where Wandering Monster, the 4 of us, are putting our heads together to create content, adventure, and like physical stuff. You can have Wandering Monster physical merch based on that game. It's going to be incredible, including, and I think there's only going to be one, a little statue of the purpose.
Cool.
They showed it to us today. It is baller. It is incredible.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
And on Tuesday, we will be playing.
Yes, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday we'll be playing that, and on Tuesday, Morgan Beans 1-1 launches on Kickstarter. This is my project. I'm doing the writing, the layout. This is a merging of Jewish history and mythology, specifically the Maccabean revolt that leads to the celebration of Hanukkah, only set in Morkborg. So instead of being like, these are Jews, it's just the tribe, and there's like Jewish esoterica kind of built in and intertwining with Morkborg's whole world building. So you can check that out. There's going to be links on the YouTube for you to find, but please follow that, back it, all that lovely stuff. We'd really appreciate it. Ian and Patchkey are going to be at Gen Con this year. Ian, you're going to be running games for the World of Game Design at Gen Con. You're going to be running Mothership, OSE, and D&D 5e.
That's
and
right.
Patchkey, you're going to be running too. You're running Werewolf from 5 to 10 at Gen Con Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
I checked my schedule. I am running the ultimate version of Werewolf, not the regular vanilla Werewolf, but
cool.
Both are fun.
And on Sunday he'll be running it too, but he's running it in a haunted house, not actually at Gen Con.
Yeah, invited.
If your house is haunted and you want me to come over and play Werewolf on Sunday,
yes, absolutely.
Call me.
We have a couple of new books. First, we have Arcanum Volume 2 by Charles Bernard. Link is right there, tinyurl.com/Arcanum2. It is the second in the duology, released by Raventail. The first one is available too on both Kindle and in physical, so pick that up and read some of Charles's work. You can also pick up his book, A Baptism for the Dead, which gives not only Charles money, but me money as well. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of me getting money for Charles's hard work.
I am a big fan of it too. And Baptism is definitely worth your time, so go check it out. Yeah.
I also have a book coming out next month in about 2 weeks. The third in the Book of Zev series. Which is my Jewish urban fantasy horror thing. That comes out on August 14th, A Shade of Grey. I think it's probably the best in the series so far, but you can catch up on the series with 1 and 2 before then. Easy reads. You can find all of that, all the links to all of these things on onemoncast.com. The link that's right in the middle of the screen there. You can find all the links for everything that we're doing. You can find our portfolios, our profiles. There we go, as well as any services we offer. But that's not all. We also do a Morkborg review every Monday, Morkborg Mondays. Occasionally, we throw in some other reviews for Morkborg on other days, but every single Monday there will be one. And then on Thursdays, we do a non-Morkborg role-playing game. This Thursday will be Bones Deep, because I just got this in the mail and it's incredible.
More skeletons.
More skeletons.
Yay!
Yeah, more skellies. That's everything. Obviously, it's a lot right now, but it's all great stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. So do join us next week for Almost Bow, Sunders Sundries. Go back, Trapped Within now, and next week, promise Morka Beans and Sundered Sundries will be worth it. Thank you so much for joining us on this consensual journey we call Wandering Monster. My name is John Baldisberger.
I am Charles R. Bernard.
Ian SerVaas.
Mr. Paschke.
We will see you then. Until then, stay safe and roll crits.